Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everyone to our up close and personal with Brother Khalid Ajmain and Sister Ainun today on a different Ramadan. As all you can see that this will be our first Ramadan for us, but we'll be experiencing a circuit breaker or a partial lockdown, so to speak, especially when schools and malls are closed. But Alhamdulillah, of course, most of us are going virtual right now, like what we're doing in terms of classes, as well as communicating with one another as well. So as we are approaching Ramadan, inshallah, in less than a week, most of us are pretty much on the edge, preparing ourselves for definitely a different Ramadan, and it will be different for everyone, be in our own circumstances, be it in physical, mental health, and spiritual aspects as well. So of course, we have Sister Ainun and Brother Khalid Ashmain today with us.
Yo, what's up?
Urban.
You had your lunch?
Yes, I had ayam goreng. The
MashaAllah. You cook
best.
yourself?
That's my mom. My mom has a secret what ayam
Okay.
goreng better recipe. Have you guys had your lunch already?
Yes, we just had it.
Yeah, we had it just now. Someone gave us
Oh.
lunch, alhamdulillah. Allah bless that person. I was having something, then he sent,
Mm.
subhanallah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's,
Mm.
it's really good though. I think that the act of giving food and preparing food for one another, I think that is something that
Yes.
really is favorite part. So
Yep. Yeah. So how are
okay,
you?
okay lah, not bad, alhamdulillah. All of us are keeping it together, keeping it strong.
Inshallah.
We don't know. Supposedly they haven't really gotten out on the extension of the circuit breaker or not, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Allah
Okay.
make it easy for all of us.
Yes, inshallah. I mean, maybe we can start off. Kak. So,
Okay.
as we can know that, how that Ramadan is going to be definitely different for all of us.
Yes.
Myself as well. Maybe for your own side, maybe you can share like how is Ramadan different for you? Or
Okay.
how?
I think for about 2 years now,
Mm,
I've been spending Ramadan totally almost like in lockdown as in now because of my illness. It seems that if I want to fast, I can't actually go out because basically I need a lot of water, and going out means that I might get ill, so I might get infection. So in previous years, I mean, when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and early 30s, right, I didn't care lah. So actually every hari raya, right, I will be
uh-huh.
falling sick. But I didn't realize that it's because I couldn't I was not drinking enough water. I was
Yeah, correct.
dehydrated for the whole of Ramadan, so I
Mm.
didn't realize that.
Because you went to too many houses in Hari Raya, you fall.
Uh, maybe, but I think it is the accumulation from Ramadan. I was actually already dehydrated, and then
Mm,
I continue. I mean, Hari Raya is the whole day you're going out.
just
So
go.
yeah, so the whole thing is too strenuous for me. So my illness doesn't allow that. But I didn't realize that until like I was hospitalized in 2015. I
Mm.
was hospitalized, I think, in the first few days of Hari
On
Raya,
the third day.
third day of Hari Raya.
Oh wow.
Actually,
I sent her on the third day to hospital.
yeah, because we were actually going out for Raya. Then I suddenly feel like I cannot walk already. So I mean the next day I was hospitalized.
Mm.
So that was a big thing for me lah, because I was hospitalized for 10 days, which is quite long. So I realized that actually I couldn't fast the whole way in Ramadan. And if I mean I was trying to figure out lah how I can fast, right? So
Mm.
in the end, like in the last 2 years, I had to make sure I drink at least 2 liters after buka and
Mm.
2 liters before sahur, which means of course that you need to go toilet all the time, right? And
Yeah,
that's
correct.
why I cannot go to the mosque to pray, because I definitely can't make it lah. So that's why I stay at home. So my Ramadan basically is me staying at home. I do the tarawih myself. Sometimes Khalid is with me.
Now, most of the time I'm with her, but sometimes she will tell me like go to the mosque because for maybe more than 10 years, 15, 16 years,
Mm.
I am always at Masjid Ba'alawi.
Mm.
I always like to be there for Trawi, right, with Habib Hassan and so on. It's a cozy mosque. I think many of us really enjoy the mosque there. So she always say, okay lah, you go with Habib lah, you just go, you just leave me alone. Inshallah, I do my own. Or sometimes when she having period, she cannot pray or what, then she will say,
Mm.
go, 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 go. So I will, but most of the time we pray the two of us lah. Yeah.
So on, I mean, on some days when he go Baalwi, that means I'm alone now, basically. But that's why for me, I of course it was a bit sad lah because I used to go to Baalwi as well, so
Mm.
I do miss the environment. I'm sure this year everybody will be missing this environment lah, wherever they are, right? Which mosque.
Yeah,
But
correct.
the thing is, I mean, it was sad, but I find the good in it in other ways. For example, like it gives me time to actually, yeah, be alone with the alone, like make your own
Yeah.
doa, do your
Mm.
zikir alone, and to really reflect on everything that is going on in your life, lah. So it's a time.
You also able to do a lot of things like read Quran and contemplation. I still feel that the stillness is still there in your home. Of course, not everyone has the same environment.
Mm.
Some people they have children, right?
Mm.
For us, we don't have children yet. But I think I really admire her character, lah, her perseverance,
Yeah.
in the sense that she can pray alone or she can just do things alone. And it reminded me of my late mother also, lah, because when I used to, before I married, I work and all that. Sometimes we have long hours working.
Mm.
Then sometimes we return home late. I'm talking about Ramadan. And
Yeah.
my mom is already on the chair alone by herself because she prays sitting on the chair, my late mother. So she'll be alone now. If 30 days in Ramadan and if she can pray, she just be there alone. But I mean, of course, we don't want our parents to be alone or even my wife to be alone. But certain circumstances you don't know that leads you to that sort of situation. But I thought like amazing because at the end of it is like it's a form like munajat, your
Yeah.
intimacy with Allah. Like
Correct.
my mom, she always like, no ma, it's okay. I prayed, by myself and all that. So likewise with her, sometimes I came back from Masjid Bawi after Tarawih, Witir and all that. I see her that she did everything already. And then she just read Quran or maybe at certain night she will read Burda all by herself. You feel peaceful lah when you saw your spouse like that, right? You
I'm
believe.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
So I think it's not at the end of it is like I think people sometimes misunderstood Ramadan.
Mm.
They felt like Ramadan is the time or the moment that you need to be perfect. You have to be perfect and you have to accumulate points or rewards in everything. I mean, no doubt it's a month of ibadah, a
Correct.
month of where everything that you do is counted as ibadah, including your sleep, your zakat, your sedekah, or even your smile and that month. I mean, a lot of things can consider as ibadah, but I think certain challenges make you realize like, even if you can't go to the mosque, Allah is still there with you, waiting for you to uh, worship Him. And sometimes both of us also, because of our sickness, we pray on the chair. Right?
Yeah. So I mean, is
Mm.
I think it will be a different experience, but I feel that it's a good opportunity for us to reflect on things ourselves. Even if you pray alone, it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to
That's
speak.
true. That's true, lah. That's true.
Yeah, but what I mean is that of course we miss things but something different is actually an opportunity instead of like something that you should be sad about
Yeah, definitely lah. It's something that it provides an opportunity, like you were saying, for us to do something different also.
Mm.
To reconnect with ourselves, especially
Yes.
towards this month of Ramadan. That's the thing. Also, like some people were actually very worried because of the current situation. Like it'd be difficult for them to pray tarawih, and then if they do at homes, like what if they have a lot of people? Then it's quite difficult for them. It doesn't allow them to do that. Those are the concerns that they have lah.
Mm.
Um, and some of them be like maybe they only have like one male in the family, and then the male doesn't want to lead because he's shy. Like what can they do about it? So these are like I don't know. Like, do you have
Mm.
any thoughts on that?
I think in terms of let's say you don't have anyone in the house who wants to lead the prayer, right? I mean, different people have different
Ways of
issues, different ways. Yeah.
Scenarios, yeah.
So I think we need to remember that this Ramadan, right?
Mm,
Uh, for this Ramadan, you actually reap a lot of rewards because first of all, you are following the orders of your leaders, and
mm,
then you are also trying to prevent harm from spreading. So we are doing this for a reason. I mean, we are not
right.
staying home just for fun or what. So so this kind of things reap rewards. So even if you are not praying in jemaah,
Right.
and even though it's like that, but because you would have gone for jemaah if you had been given the opportunity, I'm sure you still reap the rewards of such an intention. So you shouldn't see it in a negative way. If you have to pray
Mm,
alone, then that's maybe what is best for you, so you just go ahead on your own. I mean, preferably, of course, you pray as a family, but not everybody have the same type of family, or they may have issues, things like that.
yeah.
So create whatever is best for you lah. You don't need to feel like you have to replicate what is happening in other years.
I think
Mm,
everybody has a different test, like what my wife said.
yeah.
Not everyone has the same family. But I mentioned just now about the opportunity to pray to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala is always there, whether at home or mosque or surau, or musola. Some people pray there because of their work schedule, kan.
Mm, correct.
I mean, it's not deprivation, but sometimes we think like macam certain things has to be in a certain way, then it's perfect. But I felt along the years, I'm not that old, but along the years, I still feel that we still have to be thankful to Allah that He still guide us to worship Him in Ramadan and fast.
Mm,
Even for both of us, even for myself, we cannot even fast every day, like what she mentioned. In the
correct.
40 days of Ramadan, not every day we can fast because of our sickness.
Mm,
And there are people who go through more chronic than us,
yeah.
more severity. Some people like my late father,
Mm,
he had a kidney issue, he had to dialysis. And then I have a friend who had a cancer. So everybody go through a different test that make them realize that this is a blessing and mercy from Allah. I remember Syed Abdul Aziz, he said that as long as you focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you do what is good that you have to do, then you still get the reward with those people who fast or who pray in the mosque, Jamaah, or even what they intend to do in Ramadan. 'Cause I remember 2 weeks ago, Shabdazi said in the online class, right?
mm,
If someone who has diabetes, something like if someone who has diabetes and could not fast because of their sickness, but they refrain from backbiting,
what it is.
gossip, and
Right.
so on, all the negative trait, their fasting is still better than those who fast but they did not abstain from all this.
Yeah,
Because
correct.
people who fast and did not abstain from negative traits only experience their fast through hunger and thirst, right? So there's a wisdom in it. But of course, like Ainun, my wife said that the depressing mode is like, oh, I could not pray in the mosque.
Mm,
And you have to hold on to yourself and say, what's next? But the beauty is intimacy. You able to sit at home and pray. And sometimes I mentioned we pray, both of us pray on the chair, sofa. Yeah, I mean whatever it takes to do.
I think just to add lah, this one is a beautiful thing that Shemahi told us, because we were a bit sad when we were leaving from Senegal. So he said, God is not closer to you in Senegal than in Singapore, which means to say that uh, we shouldn't put God in like one place. God is with you wherever you are. So you should not like focus that if you don't have a mosque to pray in, then you can't experience the same thing. This is not.
Yeah, and I think it's not like God deprive you of Himself,
mm,
right? God give you the opportunity to pray even you're sick. And I remember when I was in hospital, Ramadan, I was in hospital. I thought I died already, or maybe nearly die. I was in ICU.
Yeah.
I was beside someone who's critical state, like when you are in ICU, like tit tit, and it's Ramadan. I think it's the third or fourth day, right? Then I was like thinking of myself, like perhaps maybe this could be the last time. And in this way, you don't know what's there, right?
Right.
But that opportunity made me realize, like, what made you think that Allah deprive you of Himself, even if you had to pray at home, or even you had to pray beside your bed. And I saw one uncle, he's
Mm.
diabetic, and he cannot see anymore, and he lose one, like, some of his toe. I mean, one of his toes, or some of his toe, lah, one of his toe, and he pray on his bed, macam he just sit, and then
Mm.
and then from there I learn lah, macam subhanallah. I mean, like, since when Allah deprive us, this is the good time for us to be more closer to Him, right? When you are in a
Right.
difficult state, because nobody has a perfect life,
That's true.
nobody has a perfect moment to be closer to Allah. Sometimes we just feel good that we are able to do something good, which is good, but sometimes Allah tests us in a way that, hey, I can still worship Allah, and I thank Him because He guide me.
Yeah.
He guide us to pray, and we thank that. That I felt was the most blessed thing in my life. Able to pray wherever I am, even when I have to pray on the chair, even I had to lie down on the bed because I was so sick. I cannot move because there's so many insulin. I mean, insulin, like
Yeah.
infusion on me. But every experience makes you realize that you are closer to Allah. We have to thank that.
Yeah. That's true. That's definitely true. And also like what you said, that the biggest one of the biggest takeaway that you mentioned is this is really the time that we can use also to really reconnect with ourselves, our hearts with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. Well, thank you for that. Really, alhamdulillah, mashallah. That's why I think it's really good that we have this sharing session also, so we can hear from other people who are also having their own set of tribulations, and everything is a learning curve, and we can, mashallah, and maybe always continue to learn from each other. You
Amin.
know. So, speaking about like on our spiritual path as well, because I mean, for the viewers, we also have our podcast channel called Real Talk with Khalid Ajmain. So, in your podcast series, one of the episodes was about women on spiritual path. Both of you have shared uh, many things about your struggles with health, with difficulties, and marriage as well, and a lot from the specific episode are the one on the spiritual path and also on marriage. So in terms of, for those young people who wants to sincerely change their life for the better, especially for this Ramadan, and this is going to be a slightly different Ramadan, and to chart a new course for their life, what would be your advice for them?
I think for me, my advice is sometimes when we first start out, we tend to want to go into everything.
Mm,
The best thing is actually for you to start slow, but to have istiqamah. So start with something small, something that you're able to do. Because if you do with something, a lot of things going on, right? Then after that, suddenly when you slow down, it's like a spiritual dip for you. You feel like it's a spiritual dip lah.
mm,
So it's better for you to start slow, do something that you can maintain in the long run, because istiqamah is always better. So you do something that is easy for you lah. And then for me, like, I mean, I have some friends who they like to go to the mosque. I mean, the environment there is different lah, but this time they can't. So
mm,
just take it as an opportunity to make more dua, to talk to have a conversation with Allah, to make it something
Like a
intimate lah.
seclusion.
Yeah, like a seclusion.
seclusion.
So yeah, so it's your internal seclusion lah. So take it as an opportunity and go slow. Be patient with yourself. If you, let's say you get angry during Ramadan, don't get disheartened. This is something that everybody goes through. People don't just turn into somebody good overnight. So that's why, yeah. So I mean, I don't believe that when people say like hijrah, like, okay, I understand that moment where you wanted to change for the better, but then actually hijrah is a process. It's not something overnight.
Mm,
or
Correct.
just because you wear hijab then you suddenly become a good person. It doesn't work that way. So it's a process. So what I feel that people should remember is that it's not going to happen overnight. And yeah, most important is to be patient with yourself lah. Because if you're not patient with yourself, then you give up halfway. Like whenever you do something wrong, you feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. That feeling that you're not matching up to what you expect yourself to be.
I I don't know. I think she covered the whole thing, but I just feel like my Ramadan, since I was a kid until now, I have different sort of experience at different phase.
Mm.
Yeah, even like
Can you share?
like back 20 years ago when it come Ramadan, sometimes I'm very nervous. I think
Why?
not exactly what we call it expectation, but
Okay.
just do not know what is there for you. I think back 20 years ago, right, I
Uh-huh.
left the music scene and everything.
Mm.
My good friend Ashari, who changed my life, lah. Allah make him the means for me to change my life. Not say migrated, he went to Australia to study. So I was like left alone with myself. So I do not know like macam where to go, what to
Like
maneuver. But I
lot.
still, yeah. And that's where I went to every mosque, different mosques at that time. And I book a
Okay.
puasa there. Yeah,
Okay.
I breakfast there and then I wait for Maghrib, Isha and Tarawih. Yeah. But as the journey goes by, then like 2 years, 3 years later, I started to pray wholesomely every night, confirm plus chop. I pray at Masjid Ba'alwi and that sort of feeling of macam tranquility accepted
Mm.
was
Mm.
there lah. You know, Habib is a amazing man of God, always welcome us in whatever state that we are in. But I still feel that a lot of times people always expect something more from themselves. And I have many friends who have to work shift, have to do or seek even more critical than me, my state, right? So
Mm.
the depression sink in, like you feel like you are worthless because you cannot spend the Ramadan well. And I always tell them, what you mean by spending your Ramadan well?
Yeah.
As long as you are not wasting your time, Alhamdulillah. I'm always afraid of wasting my time because I wasted a lot of time, right? And I'm not getting any younger. So that's why the muhasabah is very important for us to reflect upon ourselves, like where do I go and what do I do? And I think sometimes you just sink in, like you go anywhere, you just see, okay, I pray. And this time, this year, we all pray in our homes. It's a good opportunity actually. You can just in your room and pray and relax and pray and relax, you know.
Yeah. The bed
Whatever
is
state you
inside
are in,
only.
yeah. I mean, whatever state you are in, that's why I say it's a changing phase for me. And I think many of people also went through that phase. And more critical in me was when I was sick. And I didn't realize for the past 15 years that there's something wrong with my body also. Not until the eventful day when I was hospitalized on the third or fourth day of Ramadan. Like because all year Ramadan I was feeling something uh, deeply about myself, like my mouth bleeding, and sometimes the house is the what
The thirst is
the thirst
really,
is
really,
yeah
really
is
bad.
really one is really really one kind, and then sometimes I know I'm not even working.
Mm-hmm.
I had that kind of state and dizziness, but I was still younger at that time, right? But through that sickness, then I realized, hey, I had this, I had that. Subhanallah, I was still able to fast.
Yeah.
So that's where the belief, I mean, the reality in understanding about endurance, eating, and drinking is easy at a certain state, but not easy is to take care of our heart when it fills with lots of defects and always have something to say about someone. And when you are so used to gossip and all these, right? So, yeah, I mean, everybody has their journey. I remember when I was very sick, the same year, Syed Abdul Aziz was talking to me and he said, Khalid, he said, Ramadan is a personal journey to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. And that's also I begin to realize I was in hospital and so on. And he said Ramadan is a journey, a personal journey to Allah. Personal. It's not like something like you have to show it outwardly. You know, you may miss the Traweh, but if you still have the intention for Allah, you get Allah. Right? Yeah.
I think just to add to that, like for me, right?
Mm. Please, please.
Okay,
I'm
just to
all
add to that.
yours.
Okay, just to add to that, like because for me it's not just praying at home and being at
Mm,
home. For
mm.
me, like I cannot fast, so
Yeah,
that's a bit sadder than just stay at home. So what I felt was that, like, if you're not fasting, right, you really don't feel. It's very hard for you to feel that it's Ramadan. At first, when I first started out, like it really doesn't feel like, it feels like a normal day.
yeah,
So you learn to find more meaning in Ramadan, because if Ramadan is not just about fasting,
yeah.
what is it about, so that's where I tried to find more meaning in it. Like Sheikh Abdul Aziz was saying the other day, he said, actually, those who experience Ramadan where they cannot fast, the illness is a gift. But that's where, even for me, I didn't feel like it was a gift. I feel like it's something that is a test or something. It feels more like a test than a gift, in that sense. Because when he said it's a gift, it has a different meaning.
I
It's not
think
just a test,
uh,
because people mostly say like, oh, you cannot fast, it's a test. But if it's a gift, then it's a different thing.
That's true.
So when he said that, I reflected that all these years I never thought of it as a gift. I always thought of it as a test, and okay, I go through it with patience. But in fact, when he said that, then I realized that it is a gift, because you find a different meaning in Ramadan. You are more conscious of what you do, and you try to look inward towards yourself. So that's why I felt that sometimes when we look at people with illnesses, right, we tend to think like, oh, we pity them, or we feel like you know they they are missing out lah, but
Mm.
actually they're not missing out. When you reda about your state, then that is the highest makam lah.
I think
That's true. That's true.
prior to that also Syed Mahi ever told me like I told him lah I'm so sorry we are sick and so on. He said it's okay. The believing people, the believer, have to be sick so that Allah can purify them. And when I heard that, I said, wow, inshallah, so profound.
I
Because we
know.
always felt that
The
we
heart.
need to be perfect. And we have to be perfect, need and have. And that is something that pull us down uh, from just being a slave to Allah. Yeah.
It's true. So like, I mean, to share a bit also. When I first had my well, so to speak, when my Ramadan is not just about fasting. It was about so much more than that. Was when I was working in the States. So I was in this town in Maine. So it's super secluded. There's like no nothing there, just one supermarket, and then no mosque. I think the nearest halal shop was a 2 hour drive, and then I was working in the kitchen, so the shifts are very long. So that was my first Ramadan there, whereby I felt really alone because there's no one there to. I was actually the only Muslim there in the whole town, so it was actually initially when I as the Ramadan approaches, it was actually very lonely for me because I was like kind of worried about all this, like, okay, like, can I do it and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But then that is when, alhamdulillah, mashallah, when I went through that month, it's so much more it's a gift to me, because I realized that it doesn't matter, I mean, of course, like what we've been talking about, even though if there may be no mosque, but
Mm.
ultimately you can have your own mosque, at wherever you are at, like Allah doesn't have to be somewhere in a building. It can be really just right there within you itself.
Yes.
And alhamdulillah also, even when I was fasting, people there, although they were quite not used to someone like Muslim there. So they yeah, but they were actually very supportive lah. So that is so it doesn't make it so hard after all, and then of course the other ibadahs that we need to do during Ramadan, I felt that that time was really perfect for me to really be in like a complete seclusion and really focus and really reconnect back within you yourself inside. So
Mm.
yeah, so alhamdulillah, so that's I guess
Yeah.
that's the gift that you are also talking about. I think that's good, like the way we change our perception about certain things, that
Mm.
using something negative word like a test, it can
Mm.
be quite can affect the way we see things also. So once we see it in a more positive light, inshallah, yeah, so we can do it. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
You got
So
anything?
No.
yeah, I think Abang Khalid knows this story already. Okay, so yeah, I mean, apart from that also, like, the other things that we can do is of course our amal ibadah also, like
Mm.
in terms of helping community and helping people, because I know there are a few people that
Mm.
were also asking around. They're like saying, like, how can we also, apart from all this, we can make full use of Ramadan, especially right now if a circuit breaker moment, like
Mm.
everyone will be at home. What can we do also as a part in like helping the community, someone, just
Mm.
anyone.
Yes. Um.
You first, ah.
Uh. I guess. I mean, we at Solidahi we have a few projects that's going on for Ramadan.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
the first one, as you know, I think you probably heard us going about for the fundraising is for the hospital in Senegal. The hospital will be built at Taibanyas in Senegal. The village there really need this hospital because they don't have access to a proper hospital that's nearby. So
Hmm,
the nearest hospital is hours away.
correct.
So we've, I mean, it's a big project, so that's why we are doing it in stages, and we are asking for funds again and again. So this is the third time we are asking for funds again for the next phase. Right now they already had some structures built for the maternity ward, so we are looking for more funds for that. So if you have anything to spare to contribute, we would really love to for you to contribute to this project. You can go to https:/bit.ly/hospital 2020. I think you can PM us if you do not know the link.
Correct. And we also had this amazing poetry concert which we just had recently. You guys should
Yes.
also check it out. It has more details also on the hospital project, and mashallah we have everyone, like about 9 artists all over the world coming
Mm.
together in just solely for this project, our beautiful hospital in Senegal.
Yeah, because for us, right, during this
Mm,
COVID time, we know that we have access to hospital. So in the sense we have that security, but
correct.
for for the villagers at Taibanyas, even if they cut themselves or things like that, something that's serious, then they don't have a nearby hospital to go to. So this is something that is why we are passionate about this project, so that we can materialize it, and like pregnant women here, I mean, they have the facilities, the gynae, all that, but over there, they don't have those facilities, and some of them might get complications and actually die. So these are things why we want to continue the project.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it's part of humanity effort also because as we know in Western Africa, in even as a whole of Africa, they are in a third world country, and it's amazing to see how the community will benefit from the hospital. You may never know, like you may benefit even a million life in years to come with whatever amount that you are able to chip in. You can chip in any amount, and if you are sincere, the amount itself will suffice within yourself, through yourself, for this humanitarian project. Yeah.
I
Mashallah.
mean, our second project that we have not launched yet, but we hope we will get support for is so he is partnering with Free Food for All.
Yes.
I'm sure some of you knows about Free Food for All. So they want to bring we want to bring porridge and korma milk in the month of Ramadan for
Yes.
those in need. So we are aiming to serve 10,000 individual sets throughout the month, and we need your help. So you can donate by pay now to UEN 2015033391Z, or WhatsApp 87693947 to find out how you can be part of the project. We will launch the poster soon, so do stay tuned on our social media.
Inshallah, yes, definitely. Just to repeat them one more time, you can just pay now to UEN 2015033391Z, or you can just WhatsApp at 87693947. And the details will definitely be sharing with you, inshallah, very, very, very soon. Working on that.
Yes.
Yes, and then yeah. So Abang Khalid and Ka, do you have any other advice that you would like to also give for everyone before?
Okay, just for Ramadan, I think one last advice, something that I did is, even though you're at home, right, you're at home, you tend to be more relaxed, but if it would be nice if you set a space in your house where you can burn the wood or something before you pray, and then so that it is a special place for you that you go to, that's like a mosque for you, but I mean it's not a mosque, but at least a special area where you do your ibadah. And I mean, make it nice, you burn incense and all that lah. So something so that,
Something to uplift the spirit.
yeah, something to uplift your spirit. So that's
Correct.
something you can do lah. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah.
I think even in this circuit break situation where we mosques are closed in Singapore and even around the world, even Makkah is also closed for Ramadan, and not too sure how long. But I think I know that different people have different challenges, especially those who are worried for their bread and butter, the daily income. You know, you need to
Mm,
pay for the house. Maybe you have you're taking care of your sick or aging parents. Maybe you have quite a number of children. All these situation arises unexpectedly. I pray that Allah ease your affairs, and that's why we should not look at people and say like whether we are deprived or whether we are in better state. You don't know,
correct.
right? Sometimes when you are in difficulty, that's where Allah is very close to you. I remember someone who I know very well who passed away. He passed away in Idul Fitri. But throughout that Ramadan, right, that was 1 year where I almost every night after my Trawih, I will visit the late Almarhum Sheikh Zakaria at his cancer ward. Almost
Mm,
every night after Trawih with some of my friends. And then when we see him, he smiled and he was very weak, very frail. You know, if you know him personally, right, you know that he's a very outgoing person, very strong mental, like okay, can, okay. So when we saw him like lying on the bed and he's very weak, but he able to smile. And that's why I said my Ramadan journey is very different, but it gives me the reality of like Allah is always there. So when I saw him, he smiled, and knowing that he's at the stage 4 cancer, can you imagine what goes through our mind? At that time we were still younger lah. But after going through that phase, I remember it's like, wow, I do not know how I will be like when I'm in that stage. And he
mm,
died a few days after Hari Raya. Even our Hari Raya was with him on his sick bed. Right. So the point what I'm trying to say is just that um, difficulties is not necessary something that deprive you of your ibadah or even your intimacy or closeness with Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. It could be the opening that you cannot see from your eyes, but it's coming through your heart. And later on after Ramadan, then only you begin to realize like, hey, this was more during Ramadan. The struggle, the pain. And I know for sure there are a lot of people out there who are going to experience certain difficulty, anxiety, depression, worries, whatever matters they are in. And I know that this is the time when Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala open up for them. You know, so we may not be able to be in the mosque, but we can always make our heart, our room, our house as a mosque. And I
Yeah.
know that there are some volatile environment that people are going through. We know some people are going through that. And but that is the time when you realize like your heart surely, for sure, that persistence that you have is for Allah. Right? You just pray and you just hope. You know, whatever circumstances that you are in, the ease will come in a better way than what you expected. And the only thing I can say is don't hold on to anything other than Allah. And it's easy to say that. I mean, it's not easy to say that. It's easy for me to say, and not easy for people who are going through hardship to say. But I think all these experience are something that Allah, a sign that Allah loves us.
Right.
The mosque is closed, but you can still, any time of the day you can wake up and you can do tahajjud, you can solat subuh, even if you live alone. I have one um, convert. In fact, I have many converts that I know throughout the years, 20 years in my journey, that they are always alone. Even recently we know someone who embraced Islam for 3 years, and I always ask him,
Mm.
where you breakfast, and he said, don't know. Maybe the mosque lah, this mosque, that mosque, and then how you have your sahur. Then he said, oh, I take the mosque porridge. I bring back, I keep in the fridge, and then when sahur time, I heat it up and I eat. And that is every day, his menu for sahur for 3 years. And
Mm.
this time I messaged him lah. I said, look, mosques are closed. And if you need help or you need food, don't be shy, say to me. And there are a lot of others situation, right? So all these people are actually making me realize that Allah never deprive us of His love and His hope and His favor. And all I want to say to people is like, if you have problem, reach out to the right people, the hotline, or even find people who you think able to help you in certain ways. Of course, we cannot help everything, but we at least you seek something that is good. There's a hotline, right? Just go there or find a friend. And we also, as a friend, we should not generalize, judgmental to our friends or to anyone, especially under this pandemic situation where people find restless at home and all that. We pray
Mm.
for them, we give them hope, and we keep on pushing them slowly, saying that, everything is going to be all right, everything is going to be fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I can say. I talk too much.
No, no, no. That's good. That's good. Pearls of wisdom. That's the thing. Like I think we should all be there for one another, especially in such times, because technically that's what human beings are all about. So before we close the session, can we have maybe like a closing dua by Abang Khalid Ajmain?
Baik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala mursalin. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad lima khalaq wal qatil ma sabaq. Nasrul haq bi haq hadil asratul mustaqim wa ala alihi wa azim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa qina azabannar wa jannatul ya aziz wa du'i hasata marhamin. Subhanal zati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for your time. Of course, before we end, I'd like to also make a quick announcement. Later on, please do tune in for our Sheikh Aziz Abdul Frederick's class for tonight at 9 p.m. So we'll be talking about the 40 principles of the religion, and we'll be focusing on contentment. So with
Yes.
that,
Yeah, tomorrow night, me and my cousin, for the
yes,
first time in the history of our life, we are having live together. when Khalid Ajmain meets Imran Ajmain.
Yes, we will have
So
the
it's not a
Ajmain.
wrestling duel, it's a conversation like this or sharing experience in life. Yeah.
Not to worry. Yes, it's about reminiscing the journey. And that,
Mm.
of course, please do catch us tomorrow at 8 p.m. with the Ajmains. So, with that,
Okay. Mm.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you one more time.
Thank you, Natasha. May Allah
Thank you
bless you
so much.
too.
May Allah
May
bless you.
Allah bless all of you. Ramadan Mubarak in advance.
Yes. Right. Okay, bye bye.